The first time I saw her, she was studying the security camera positions in the Hall of Monarchs, pretending to take a selfie. I knew because I'd done the same thing 3 months ago when I started working at the Royal Heritage Museum. Everyone did it, tourists snapping their perfect Instagram moment, finding the angle where the crown jewels sparkled just right behind them. But she was different. Her eyes weren't on her phone screen. They were counting, calculating dot, and then they landed on me. I should have looked away. I was supposed to be monitoring the gallery, watching for the usual threats: kids getting too close to the displays, visitors trying to touch the glass, the occasional person who got confused and thought no flash photography was merely a suggestion. Instead, I stood frozen as this woman with dark hair and darker eyes held my gaze across the velvet ropes and priceless artifacts. She smiled. Not the polite museum smile of someone caught staring. A real smile, slow and deliberate, like she was letting me in on a secret. I felt my face flush and finally looked down at my tablet, pretending to check something important. When I glanced back up, she'd moved on to the Catherine the Great exhibition, her leather jacket incongruous among the tourist families and their sensible shoes. Earth to Maya, Sasha's voice crackled through my earpiece. "You still with us?" I pressed my finger to the earpiece. "Yeah, sorry. Thought I saw something." "Someone more like," Sasha teased. I could hear the grin in her voice. She was stationed in the security office, watching all of us through the camera feeds. Tall, dark hair, looks like she could be in a heist movie. "I'm working," I said primly, but I couldn't help smiling. "Sure you are. She's been circling back to your section 3 times now. Maybe she's lost? Maybe she just really likes Renaissance jewels. Or Renaissance security guards." I rolled my eyes, but my heart was beating faster. I'd been out for years, but I'd never been good at knowing when someone was actually interested versus just being friendly. And I definitely had never had someone look at me like that, like I was something worth stealing. The woman appeared again. 20 minutes later, this time at the Catherine Parr display near my station. Up close, she was even more striking. Sharp cheekbones, an elegant neck, fingers adorned with silver rings that looked antique. She wore her confidence like armor. "These are incredible," she said, her voice carrying a faint accent I couldn't quite place. "Eastern European, maybe. Do you have a favorite?" It was a normal question. Visitors ask me things like this all the time. But the way she asked it, the way she looked at me while waiting for my answer, made it feel like she was asking something else entirely. "The Tudor rose pendant," I said, pointing to a delicate gold piece in the center display. "It's not the most valuable piece here, but it has the best story. Catherine Parr, Henry VIII's last wife, survived him. This was her personal jewelry, and there's evidence she wore it to her secret wedding after Henry died." "A love story," the woman said softly. "A survival story," I corrected. "She outlasted a tyrant and got to choose her own happiness." The woman's eyes lit up. "I like the way you think." She extended her hand. "I'm Natasha, Maya." Her hand was cool and firm in mine, and she held on just a beat longer than necessary. "Maya?" she repeated, like she was testing how my name felt. "Are you always this passionate about historical jewelry?" "Only when I'm at work, and when you're not at work." I felt that flush creeping up my neck again. "I have other interests. I'd like to hear about them." She pulled a card from her jacket pocket, cream-colored, expensive-looking cardstock with just a phone number embossed in gold. "If you're interested." I took the card, my fingers brushing hers. "Are you always this forward with museum security? Only the ones who look at Tudor rose pendants like they hold the secrets of the universe." She leaned in slightly, and I caught a hint of her perfume, something woody and expensive. "And only the ones who are beautiful enough to make me forget why I came here in the first place." Before I could respond, a school group flooded into the gallery, and Natasha stepped back with that same deliberate smile. "I hope you'll call," she said. And then she was gone, disappearing into the crowd of chattering teenagers. I stared at the card in my hand. No name, just a number. "Oh, you're in trouble," Sasha said through the earpiece. She had no idea. How right she was. I told myself I wouldn't call. The card sat on my nightstand for 3 days while I tried to convince myself that mysterious, gorgeous women who handed out unmarked phone numbers in museums were probably bad news. I had a good job, a quiet life in my studio apartment in Camden, a routine that worked for me. I didn't need complications, but I also couldn't stop thinking about the way Natasha had looked at me. Like I mattered. Like I was rare and valuable and worth pursuing. On the fourth day, I texted the number. This is Maya. From the museum. The reply came within minutes. I know exactly who you are. I haven't stopped thinking about you. My heart did a stupid little flip. That's quite a line. It's not a line if it's true. Have dinner with me tomorrow? I should have said no. I should have asked more questions, like why she didn't have her name on her business card, or what she did for a living, or why she'd been photographing security camera angles. Instead, I typed, "Where?" She chose a small Italian restaurant in Soho, the kind of place that probably didn't take reservations, but somehow had a table waiting when she gave her name. Natasha was already there when I arrived, wearing a black dress that should have been illegal and reading a book in Russian. "You're early," I said, sliding into the booth across from her. "So are you." She set the book aside and gave me that appraising look again, the one that made me feel like I was the only person in the room. "You look stunning." I'd agonized over my outfit for an hour, finally settling on dark jeans and a silk blouse that my sister had bought me for my birthday, insisting I needed something nice for when we finally start dating again. "Thank you." "You look..." I trailed off because there weren't adequate words for how she looked. "I'll accept that unfinished compliment," she said with amusement. We ordered wine. And then dinner, and somewhere between the appetizers and the main course, I forgot to be nervous. Natasha was easy to talk to, quick-witted and sharp, with stories that ranged from growing up in St. Petersburg to backpacking through South America, to her brief and apparently disastrous attempt at learning to surf in Cornwall. "What brought you to London?" I asked. A shadow crossed her face so quick I almost missed it. "Work," she said simply. "What kind of work?" "Acquisitions." She swirled her wine. "I help private collectors find rare items." "Like art?" "Among other things." It was vague, but I let it go. Maybe I didn't want to know the details. Maybe I just wanted to enjoy the wine, the candlelight. The way she listened when I talked about my master's degree in art history that I'd never finished. My complicated relationship with my traditional Indian parents who still hadn't fully accepted that I was gay. My dream of someday curating my own exhibition. "You should finish your degree," Natasha said firmly. "You're brilliant." I could tell that from 5 minutes of listening to you talk about Catherine Parr. "It's expensive. And I'd have to quit my job and you're scared," she said gently. "Not of the work. Of wanting something that much." The observation landed like a punch. It's okay to want things, Maya." She reached across the table and took my hand. "It's okay to take up space. To demand more from life." I stared at our intertwined fingers. Is that what she'd do? Demand more from life? Every single day. She lifted my hand and pressed a kiss to my knuckles, her eyes never leaving mine. "And right now, I'm demanding more time with you." We skipped dessert. We walked along the south bank, the Thames glittering with reflected lights. And Natasha told me about the first time she'd seen London 17 years old, running away from an engagement her parents had arranged, sleeping in hostels and teaching herself English from stolen books. "I promised myself that night that I would never let anyone control my life again," she said. "That I would take what I wanted and make no apologies." "Is that why you do acquisitions?" She laughed. "Something like that." We stopped near the London Eye and she turned to face me. "I want to kiss you," she said. "But I need to know if that's what you want too." I'd been kissed before. Awkward dates, a few longer relationships that fizzled out, one memorable disaster at university. But no one had ever asked like this, with such directness and respect. "Yes," I whispered. She cupped my face in her hands and kissed me like she had all the time in the world. Soft at first, then deeper, until I forgot where I was and only knew the taste of wine on her lips and the way she held me like I was precious. When we finally broke apart, I was breathless. "Come home with me," she said. I did. Her flat in Kensington was gorgeous, high ceilings, original moldings, art that I suspected was authentic even though I didn't recognize all the pieces. But I barely noticed the decor because Natasha was kissing me again, backing me against the door. Her hands in my hair. We made it to the bedroom in fragments, my jacket on the floor. Her dress unzipped, a trail of clothes and mounting desire. She was confident and attentive, learning what I liked with the same focus she'd brought to studying the museum's security cameras. Afterwards, we lay tangled in her silk sheets, and I traced the line of a scar on her shoulder. "What's this from?" "A mistake I won't make again," she said, then kissed my forehead. "Stage night?" I should have gone home. I had work in the morning. But I stayed, sleeping in her arms, waking to coffee and croissants and Natasha in a silk robe, looking like every fantasy I'd never let myself fully imagine. The next 2 weeks were a blur of stolen moments and late-night phone calls. Natasha would text me during my shifts, sometimes just an emoji, sometimes a photo of something that made her think of me. A painting in a gallery. A flower market. Once, inexplicably, a cat sleeping on a windowsill. We fell into a pattern. I'd finish work and she'd be waiting outside the museum in her vintage Mercedes, whisking me away to hidden wine bars or midnight walks through Regent's Park. She never wanted to come to my apartment, always suggesting our place instead. But I was too caught up in the romance to question it. My coworker Priya noticed immediately. "You're glowing," she said one afternoon as we restocked brochures in the gift shop. New skincare routine or new girlfriend? I felt my cheeks heat. "Is it that obvious?" "Maya, you've been smiling at your phone for 20 minutes. "So yes." She bumped my shoulder affectionately. "Tell me everything." "Her name is Natasha. She's incredible." "How'd you meet?" "She came to the museum a few weeks ago. We just connected." Priya's expression shifted slightly. "Wait, is this the woman Sasha was teasing you about? The one who was photographing the galleries?" "She was just taking pictures like everyone else." Priya didn't look convinced. "Just be careful, yeah? You have a habit of seeing the best in people." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you're a romantic." "Which is beautiful. But sometimes people aren't who they seem." I wanted to argue, but my phone buzzed with a text from Natasha. "Missing you." "Tonight?" I smiled despite myself. I should get back to my section. Priya caught my arm. "I mean it, Maya, just keep your eyes open." That night, Natasha took me to a private gallery showing. The art was avant-garde and expensive. The champagne flowed freely. And she introduced me to collectors and curators with a casual familiarity that made me wonder, not for the first time, exactly how successful her acquisitions business was. "You seem to know everyone here," I observed as we studied a particularly abstract sculpture. "London's art world is smaller than you think." She handed me a fresh glass of champagne. "Besides, I've been doing this a long time." "How long?" "Long enough to know real treasure when I see it." She turned to me, her expression serious. "Maya, I need to tell you something." My heart sank. Here it comes, I thought. The revelation that she's married or moving away. Or this has all been some elaborate game. "I'm listening," I said carefully. She opened her mouth, then closed it as a barrel-chested man in expensive suit approached. "Natasha Volkov. I heard you were back in London." His accent was thick, Russian. "Does this mean the Romanov project is moving forward?" Natasha's face became a polite mask. "Victor, how lovely to see you." She didn't answer his question. He looked at me with unconcealed curiosity. "And who is this?" "A friend," Natasha said smoothly. "Maya, this is Victor Petrov." "Victor, this is Maya Sharma. If you'll excuse us, we were just leaving." She took my hand and led me out of the gallery. Moving so quickly, I nearly had to jog to keep up. "Natasha!" "What? Not here." She didn't slow down until we were in her car, doors locked, engine running. Then she pressed her forehead against the steering wheel and took a long breath. "Talk to me," I said softly. "That man. He's from my past. A past I've been trying to leave behind." She looked at me, and for the first time since I'd met her, I saw fear in her eyes. "I told you I help collectors acquire rare items." "That's true. But I haven't always been particular about who I worked for or how those items were acquired." My stomach dropped. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I've made choices I'm not proud of. Worked for people I shouldn't have trusted. And now?" She gripped the steering wheel. "Now I have one last job to complete, and then I'm done, free. I can be the person I want to be instead of the person I've had to be to survive." What kind of job? She was quiet for a long moment. It's better if you don't know. That's not fair. You can't just, Maya. She cupped my face in her hands. I'm trying to protect you. From my world, from the consequences of my choices. Being with me? It's dangerous. Then why did you pursue me? I gestured helplessly between us. Why any of this if you knew it was dangerous? Because I couldn't help myself. Her voice broke. Because you looked at that Tudor rose pendant like it held the secrets of the universe, and I thought, that's what I want. Someone who sees beauty and meaning in things. Someone who believes in love stories and survival and second chances. She kissed me softly. You made me want to be better. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. Tell me this job isn't illegal, I said. She looked away. Natasha. I can't tell you that. I pulled back. Then take me home. My home? Maya, please. The drive to my apartment in Camden was silent. When she pulled up to the curb, I reached for the door handle, but she caught my wrist. I love you, she said. I know it's too soon, and I know I have no right to say it given everything, but I do. I love you. My eyes burned with tears. Don't do this job. Whatever it is, it's not worth it. It's the only way I can get free of these people. They'll never let me go otherwise. Then go to the police. There are programs, witness protection, she laughed bitterly. You think the police can protect me from men like Victor? Maya, you have no idea what these people are capable of. Then let me help you. No, her voice was firm. Absolutely not. You have your whole life ahead of you, your degree, your career, your family. I won't let you throw that away from me. That's not your decision to make. I'm making it anyway. She kissed my forehead, my cheeks, my lips. Give me 2 weeks. I'll finish this job, settle my debts, and then I'll be free. And if you still want me after that, knowing everything, then we can have the future I've been dreaming about. And if I don't want to wait, if I want you to walk away right now, then I'll miss you every day for the rest of my life. She pulled back, her eyes shimmering. But I'll understand. I got out of the car and didn't look back as I walked to my building. I heard her drive away only after I closed the door behind me. I barely slept that night, replaying the conversation in my head. By morning, I'd convinced myself that I was overreacting, that Natasha's job was probably something morally gray but not actively harmful. Art world dealing often existed in legal loopholes, right? Maybe she was just helping someone acquire a piece through unofficial channels. But when I got to work, Sasha pulled me aside before I could even reach my section. We need to talk, she said. Her expression grave, she led me to the security office, where Director Chen was waiting with 2 police officers. My blood ran cold. What's going on? Miss Sharma, I'm Detective Inspector Walsh, the older officer said. We need to ask you some questions about Natasha Volkov. The room spun. What? Director Chen's face was sympathetic but stern. Maya, Natasha Volkov has been flagged by Interpol as a suspected art thief. She's believed to be planning a heist, and given that she's been seen repeatedly at our museum and has made contact with you. He trailed off meaningfully. No, I said immediately. No, she wouldn't, Miss Sharma. Natasha Volkov has been connected to at least 6 major thefts across Europe in the last decade, Detective Walsh said, opening a file. Museums, private collections, even a monastery in Prague. She's very good at what she does. She establishes relationships with museum staff, learns security protocols, and then either executes the theft herself or sells the intelligence to other criminals. I felt sick. You think she's been using me? We think she's been gathering information, the younger officer said, not unkindly. When did you first meet her? I told them everything, the way she'd been photographing the galleries, the mysterious business card, our dates. Each detail felt like a betrayal of Natasha, but also a betrayal of myself for being so naive. Did she ever ask you specific questions about the security systems? Detective Walsh asked. I thought back. She asked about my favorite piece, and I told her about the Tudor rose pendant. The detectives exchanged glances. What? I demanded. Director Chen pulled up an image on his computer. This is what's been traveling with the Catherine Parr exhibition. It's not normally on display, it's too valuable and too historically significant. But we've had it on loan from the Royal Collection for the past month. My heart sank as I realized what he was implying. The Tudor rose pendant, I whispered. Worth approximately £8 million, Detective Walsh confirmed. And based on chatter we've picked up from known criminal networks, it's the target of an imminent theft attempt. We need your help, Maya, Director Chun said gently. If Natasha contacts you again, we need to know. I felt like I was going to throw up. She said she had one last job. That after this, she'd be free. They always say that, the younger officer said. Has she given you any indication of when this might happen? Detective Walsh pressed. 2 weeks, I heard myself say. She said give her 2 weeks. They wanted me to wear a wire. To set up a meeting with Natasha and get her to confess to our plans, I refused. I understand you have feelings for her, Director Chun said carefully, but Miss Sharma, if she succeeds in stealing from the Royal Collection, you could be implicated as an accomplice. Your career would be over. You could face criminal charges. I didn't know, I said. I still don't know for certain that she's actually planning to steal anything. All you have is speculation in her past. Her past is enough, Detective Walsh said firmly. Miss Sharma, I've been tracking Natasha Volkov for 3 years. She's brilliant, she's ruthless, and she's broken hearts in half a dozen cities while relieving museums of their most precious artifacts. Don't be another casualty. But I couldn't stop thinking about the look in Natasha's eyes when she'd said she loved me. The fear when she'd seen Victor at the gallery. The way she'd held me like I was something precious. I need to think, I said. They gave me 24 hours. I called my sister that night. PRIYA answered on the second ring. Maya, it's midnight. What's wrong? I'm in trouble, I said, and then it all came pouring out. Natasha. The police, the heist, everything. My sister listened without interrupting, which was how I knew it was serious. Priya always interrupted. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Do you love her? I don't know, maybe. Is that insane? Love is usually a little insane, Priya said gently. But Maya, even if she does have feelings for you, she still used you. She sought you out deliberately to get information about the museum. I know. And now you have to decide what kind of person you want to be. The kind who helps catch a thief, or the kind who lets love make her an accomplice. Those aren't the only options. Aren't they? I pressed my palm against my eyes. What would you do? I'd talk to her. I'd look her in the eye and ask her the truth. And then I'd decide based on what I saw, not what I wanted to see. She paused. But I'd also be ready to walk away if I had to. Because sometimes loving someone means letting them face the consequences of their choices. I texted Natasha the next morning, we need to talk. In person. She replied immediately, my place. 1 hour, when I arrived, she looked like she hadn't slept. There was a half-packed suitcase on the bed, clothes scattered across the room. You're leaving, I said flatly. After tomorrow night? Yes, she crossed to me, reaching for my hands. But I stepped back. The police came to see me yesterday. All the color drained from her face. Maya, they told me who you are. What you've done. I forced myself to look at her. Is it true? Are you planning to steal the Tudor rose pendant? She closed her eyes. Yes. The confirmation still hit like a physical blow. So all of this was just reconnaissance? No, her eyes flew open. No, Maya, that's not. It started that way, but it's not like that anymore. Then what is it like? I came to London to do a job. Victor Petrov hired me to steal the pendant. He has a buyer lined up, some oligarch who collects Tudor artifacts. I studied the museum, planned the approach, and yes, I identified you as someone who could potentially give me access or information. She stepped closer. But then I talked to you. And you were brilliant and passionate, and you saw beauty in everything, and I thought maybe I could have something real for once in my miserable life. So you seduced me. I fell in love with you, she corrected fiercely. Every moment we've spent together, every word I've said that was real, Maya. The job was supposed to be simple. Get in, get out, disappear. But then there was you, and suddenly I couldn't imagine disappearing if it meant leaving you behind. Then don't do it, I pleaded. Walk away from the job. We'll figure something else out. I'll help you. Victor will kill me. She said it simply, matter-of-factly. I took a 50,000 pound advance. If I don't deliver the pendant, he'll make an example of me. That's how this world works. Then we go to the police. You cooperate, testify against him, and spend the next 5 years in prison for my previous thefts. Maybe more? She laughed bitterly. I'm not naive enough to think they'd offer me immunity, Maya. At best, I'd get a reduced sentence. At worst, I'd get killed by one of Victor's people before the trial even started. So your plan is to steal a priceless artifact and then what? Run forever? Run until I get far enough away that Victor's reach doesn't extend. New identity, new city, new life. She cupped my face. I was going to ask you to come with me. My breath caught. What? After the job? I have money hidden away, enough for both of us to start over somewhere. Portugal, maybe. Or Argentina. Somewhere we could be together without all of this hanging over us. It was insane, impossible. Everything I'd built, my job, my family, my life gone in an instant to become a fugitive with a woman I'd known for less than a month. I can't, I whispered. Pain flashed across her face, but she nodded. I know, I had to ask. Natasha, please. There has to be another way. There isn't. She kissed me softly, desperately. But I can give you one thing. I can make sure you're nowhere near this when it happens. That you have complete deniability. I don't want deniability. I want you to not do this. I know. She pulled back. The job is tomorrow night during the museum's evening event. You're scheduled to work it, aren't you? I nodded mutely. Call in sick. Be anywhere else. And when it's over, she traced my jawline. Try to remember that I loved you. That whatever else I am, that part was true. I didn't call in sick. Instead, I went to Director Chen's office at 6 a.m. and told him everything. The conversation, the timeline, Natasha's plans. I felt like I was tearing out my own heart with every word. But Priya was right. I had to decide what kind of person I wanted to be by evening. The museum was ready. Extra security guards. Plainclothes police officers mixed in with the gala attendees and me. Wearing a wire and positioned near the Catherine Parr exhibition. The event was the museum's annual fundraiser, 200 donors in evening wear. Champagne and canapes, live music echoing through the galleries. I'd worked these events before and loved the energy, the way the arts seemed to come alive with people celebrating around it. Tonight, I felt sick. Detective Walsh was in my ear. She'll likely make her move between 9 and 10 p.m. when the crowd is at its peak. Stay alert. I scanned the crowd obsessively, looking for Natasha's dark hair, her elegant profile. Would she really go through with it knowing I'd be here? Knowing what she'd told me? At 9:15, the fire alarm went off. That's not us, someone said through my earpiece as the crowd began moving toward the exits. All units, this is not a drill. We have an actual evacuation in progress. In the chaos, I saw her. Natasha in a server's uniform, moving against the crowd toward the Catherine Parr exhibition. Our eyes met across the gallery, and I saw the exact moment she realized I'd betrayed her. Hurt and understanding flickered across her face, followed by grim determination. She ran. I ran after her. Maya, stand down. Detective Walsh shouted through the earpiece, but I ripped it out. Natasha was fast, weaving through the panicking crowd, heading for the staff quarters. I knew these halls better than she did. I'd worked here for 3 years. I took a shortcut through the restoration department and came out ahead of her. She nearly collided with me, skidding to a stop. Maya, move. No, please. Her eyes were wild. They'll be here in seconds. If they catch me, I'm dead. If not from the police, then from Victor. Then surrender. Testify. I'll be there with you. You'll what? Visit me in prison? Watch me get shanked by a contract killer? She grabbed my shoulders. You said you wanted to finish your degree. To curate your own exhibition. You can't do that if you're connected to this mess. I don't care. I care. She shook me gently. Maya, I've destroyed everything I've ever touched. For once in my miserable life, let me do something good. Let me protect you. Footsteps thundered in the corridor behind us. Natasha kissed me one last time, hard and desperate and final. Then she pushed me aside and ran. I stood frozen as police officers streamed past me. I heard shouting, the sound of a struggle, and then silence. When I finally made my way back to the gallery, Natasha was in handcuffs, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. Detective Walsh was reading her rights. She'd been caught before reaching the Tudor rose pendant. The heist had failed. Her eyes found mine across the room. She didn't look angry. She looked relieved. "I'm sorry," I mouthed. She shook her head slightly, then smiled that same slow, deliberate smile from the first day. We'd met, and they took her away. The courtroom was packed for the sentencing. Natasha had pled guilty to attempted theft and cooperated with investigators, providing information about Viktor Petrov's organization that led to 17 arrests across 3 countries. In exchange, the Crown Prosecution Service had agreed to recommend a reduced sentence. I sat in the gallery, hands clenched in my lap as the judge delivered the verdict. 4 years. With possibility of parole after 2. It could have been so much worse. Afterward, they let me see her briefly before transport. "You came," Natasha said through the glass partition. "Of course I came." I picked up the phone. "How are you?" "I've been better. But I'm alive, which is more than I expected 6 months ago." She studied my face. "You look good, different." I touched my hair self-consciously. I cut it short, started wearing brighter colors. "I'm finishing my degree. Online courses while I work." "Maya, that's wonderful." The museum kept me on, surprisingly. Director Chen said I did the right thing coming forward. I swallowed hard. "Natasha, I'm so sorry." "Don't." Her voice was firm. "Don't apologize for having integrity. For being exactly who you are." She pressed her palm against the glass. I know what I said. "Loving you made me want to be better. And for the first time in my life, I'm facing consequences instead of running. That's because of you. 2 years is a long time. It is." She smiled sadly. "I won't ask you to wait. You should live your life, date, be happy." "I'll wait," I interrupted. "Maya, I'll wait," I repeated. "Not because I'm putting my life on hold. I'm going to finish my degree, apply for curator positions, maybe even visit my parents in Mumbai like I've been promising. I'm going to live my life fully." I pressed my palm against the glass, matching hers. "But when you get out, if you still want me, I'll be here." Her eyes filled with tears. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not," I agreed, and we both laughed weightily. "But I don't think love is really about deserving. I think it's about choosing each other anyway. Even when one of us is a convicted art thief, you're also brilliant, passionate, and you look at me like I'm treasure." I smiled. "I can work with that." The guard tapped on the door. Our time was up. "I love you," Natasha said. "I'll love you through every day of the next 2 years." "I love you too," I replied. "And Natasha? When you get out, we're getting you a legitimate job. Maybe museum security consultant. You'd be perfect at it." She laughed, that real unguarded laugh I'd fallen in love with. "It's a deal." 2 years later, I was setting up my first curated exhibition, Survival and Sovereignty, Women of the Tudor Court, when my phone rang. "She's being released today," Priya said without preamble. "Are you ready?" Was I ready? I'd been visiting Natasha every month, writing letters, building a relationship through glass partitions and monitored phone calls. She'd taken courses in prison, started therapy, worked with authorities to return stolen artifacts to their rightful homes. I'd watched her transform herself from a woman running from her past to someone ready to face her future. "Yes," I said. "I'm ready." That evening, I waited outside the prison gates, my heart pounding as the door opened. Natasha stepped out into the sunlight, blinking against the brightness. She looked thinner, older, but when she saw me, her face transformed with joy. "You waited," she said wonderingly. "I told you I would." She crossed to me slowly, like she couldn't quite believe I was real. "I have nothing to offer you. No money, no prospects. I'm an ex-convict trying to rebuild her life from scratch." "Wrong," I said, taking her hands. "You have you. That's all I ever wanted." I kissed her there, in front of the prison, in front of anyone who cared to look. When we finally broke apart, she was crying. "What now?" she asked. I pulled 2 tickets from my pocket. "Now we're going to Portugal for 2 weeks. You're going to lie on a beach, eat good food, and remember what freedom feels like. I smiled. And then we're coming back to London where you're going to start your new job. My... what? Museum security consultant. Director Chen hired you based on my recommendation. Turns out having an expert art thief on staff is actually quite valuable. I linked my arm through hers. But first, Portugal. I hear it's lovely this time of year. She laughed and cried and kissed me again. How did I get this lucky? You didn't, I said honestly. You made terrible choices, hurt people, broke the law. But then you stopped running. You faced the consequences. You changed. I squeezed her hand. And I fell in love with both versions of you, the woman who was so desperate to survive that she stole, and the woman who was brave enough to stop. We walked toward my car, the same beat-up Honda I've been driving since university. So different from her vintage Mercedes. No offense, Natasha said, eyeing it, but your car is terrible. It runs, barely. Well, if you want a nicer car, you'll have to get a legitimate job and buy one. No more stealing. She raised an eyebrow. What if I steal one more thing? Natasha, your heart, she said with that slow, deliberate smile. I'm going to steal your heart and keep it forever. I rolled my eyes, but I was grinning. You already did that. The first day we met. Then I'll steal something else. Your last name, maybe? In a few years when you're ready. My breath caught. Is that a proposal? It's a promise, she said softly. That I'm never going to stop choosing you. Every single day for the rest of my life. I kissed her again there in the prison parking lot. And I thought about Catherine Parr's Tudor rose pendant, that symbol of survival and love and second chances. Some treasures, I realized, you don't find in museums. Some treasures find you when you least expect them, wearing a leather jacket and looking at you like you're worth more than all the crown. Jewels in the world, and some treasures are worth waiting for.